Hi, welcome to my virtual cut crease class. Today you'll be learning the fundamentals of creating the perfect cut crease as well as a flawless base for your makeup application. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. First, for a smooth application base, you always want to skin prep yourself and or your clients by going in with like a micellar water or a witch hazel wipe or anything that you prefer to clean your base with, just to remove excess oils. Then you're going to want to go in with a daily moisturizer. No matter if you have combination dry or oily skin, you always want to make sure your skin is hydrated prior to applying any type of makeup to your skin. Next, I'm going to go in with a moisturizing cream by Clinique, and I'm going to put that in the under eye just to prevent any makeup from creasing once we do go in with concealer. Now I'm going to go in with my NYX Angelville primer and my Dermablend Instagrip Jelly primer. These two primers will help give a smooth base, but also make sure that your makeup lasts all day. I like to use these two because they work for all skin types. Whether you're oily, dry, or combination, you don't have to worry about being overly oily or extremely dry. I'm going to go in with a flathead brush to apply this just to make sure that there's maximum coverage and that there's not any lumps or clumps when it comes to applying this primer. Then I'm going to go in with the NYX eyebrow pencil or any eyebrow pencil that you may have, and I'm also going to go in with LA Girl concealer, and I'm going to start carving out her brow. As a guide, I like to do lash glue on the brows. I know it sounds crazy, but using this lash glue will also help me figure out how much I need to fill in that brow, as well as lay the brows down so that they last all day. So starting out, I just like to outline the brow first, creating her actual brow arch. I don't go in and create any other arch because it's not going to be natural. So you always want to go with the natural arch of your brow. I like to start by lining them out just so I have that guide. And then when I go in, I can see the areas that need to be filled in. I'm also using the shade Espresso on her skin tone because sometimes I feel like black eyebrow pencils can come off a little too harsh. And as stated before, I'm going in with the concealer that I showed you guys prior, just to create her base for her eyeshadow. This will also be used as her highlight when we go in and highlighting and contouring. Next, what you're going to see me do is shade match. So how I like to shade match is by taking 3 shades that I feel like are closest to her skin tone, and I like to go on the neck so that way the face and the neck are matching. And as you can see, the second shade that I just swatched as well as the third shade are her exact skin tones, and I'm going to actually use those both on her skin when it's time to create her base. Right now I'm going in with the second shade that you saw and just going above her brow to clean up her brow. Now I'm going to go in with a precision tip brush and I'm just going to smooth out the base for her eyeshadow, and then I am going to go in with the Airspun setting powder, translucent powder, and I'm going to set that base just so we can have a nice even coverage of eyeshadow once we apply. I'm going to be using a lot of neutrals and browns and golds in this look. Specifically, the first palette I'm using is the Morphe Artistry palette, and this is just to create her transitions as well as deepen her cut crease shade, so that way we can have some definition when it is time to cut her crease. I'm going to start by packing all this on the lid, and then I'm going to go in with another eyeshadow brush and I'm just going to blend it out so that way we have a seamless blend. Now I'm going in with a deeper shade to start that deepening for the cut crease. Then I'm going to go in with an even darker shade so that way we really have that definition and you can tell that there is an exact and precise cut crease going on. Now I'm going to go in with the flathead brush and go in with the same concealer that I used to put on her base, and I'm going to start carving out her cut crease. So a tip is also to put some concealer on your lid, look up, and that way you can see where your natural crease is, and what you want to do is just follow that along and take your time while doing that. But you also want to go above your crease just a tad so that way we can make a noticeable cut crease. Now I'm going in, as you can see, with the Juvia's Place Warrior palette, and I'm going to be using some champagnes and some golds in here for her base of her cut crease. Then with the same browns that I use in her transition shades, I'm going to be putting that on the outer corners just so everything is matching up and everything looks cohesive. Next, I'm gonna go in with a black liquid liner, and this is just to create a nice angled liner, not a wing, but a nice angled liner for this look. And typically to set my liner, what I like to do is after I create it is go in with some black eyeshadow with a small precision tip brush again and just pat that on there just to make sure it's mattified but also very vibrant and it stands out. Now what I'm going to do is prepare to put on her lashes. These lashes are by me, by Naomi Cosmetics, and we're going to be applying these lashes now. So what we're going to do is just use any mascara of your choosing, and we're going to prep your lashes for the eyelash extensions. And just because I forgot to do it in the beginning, I'm just going to go in with any kind of chapstick or anything that you may have on the lips just so her lips aren't dry for when it's time to actually do her lips. Now I'm going to size the lashes to make sure they fit. You always want to size your lashes because you don't want them to look like they're flaring off on your eye too much or that they're overlapping on your eye. You want them to fit perfectly. And then I'm going to go in with that same lash glue that I use on the brows by Duo, and I'm going to go ahead and put that on her eyelash line, and we are going to let that get tacky a little bit before we actually apply. The reason why I find this a lot more easier to apply your lashes is because wherever you put your lash glue is where your lashes are going to stick. So try to avoid actually putting lash glue on your eyelash extensions. So now that it's time for her base, we will be going in with the two shades that we swatched on her neck. And we're going to go ahead, in no particular format, we're just going to go ahead and start applying that. And I'm using my flathead brush. Now I'm going to go in with my foundation brush, and in patting motions, we're just going to pat that in. This will also create a smooth base. Do not swipe or wipe with your brushes because you will create streaks, and we don't want that. We want everything to blend in like skin. So we're going to go in patting like motions all over the face, but avoid the under eye, because if you put too much foundation under your eye, you will begin to crease. Also, another tip is to always blend down on the neck just to make sure it doesn't look like your client or yourself has on a mask. We want to make sure that the color match is exact. And then we're going to go in with that same concealer that we used to set the base, and we're going to go ahead and start highlighting. And as you can see, my placement, we're only putting in these spots because we want a lifted eye. We want also the highlighter to be where the sun directly hits you on your face and you have a natural brightness. Also, take note of the way I am highlighting her face. She does have an oblong face structure, so we are also going to highlight and contour in a manner that flatters that. So now I'm going to go in with her contour shade, and we're going to go at an angle, and we're going to angle it downwards. And we're only going to put a few dots on her forehead and a tiny amount of specks on her chin. And we're going to go ahead and put this on her nose just for the contour. Now we're going to go in with that same precision tip brush, and we're going to blend out the concealer. Also, in patting like motions, we are not swiping. We want everything to be pressed in. And also, when you're going in next to the nose, you only want to make it meet with the contour on the nose. You don't want to overlap it because then the contour on the nose will get lost. Next, I'm going to go in with a black eyebrow pencil, just because sometimes when you're blending out the concealer and foundation, your eyebrows can get a little lost behind it, and we just want to bring that definition back. Now with the same brush that I used for foundation, I'm going to go in and I'm going to blend out her contour. Using this foundation brush also helps with making everything seamless because you don't want everything to look separate from each other. You want everything to blend together like a natural base. So this is why we're going to constantly go back and forth with our foundation brush. And yet again, we're using patting like motions. And then I'm going to go on with a precision tip brush just for the nose, and we're going to blend that into the eyebrow and slightly into the eyeshadow. That way we have a nice seamless blend between the two and you have a nice snatched nose. Now I'm going to spray her with some facial spray. Doesn't matter what kind. This is a hydrating and a glowing facial mist, and this just helps to keep her from being overly dry, but it also helps with being more radiant. And we're going to pat that in with that same foundation brush. Then we're going to go in with a setting powder. This is by Sacha Buttercup. Hers is the exact buttercup shade. And we're going to lightly press in with a precision tip brush to make sure we're getting rid of the creases. And then we're going to go in with another brush and we're going to lightly pat that into the areas that we only highlighted. You want to use a thin amount because if you use too much setting powder, you're going to have cakey makeup, or you're going to have areas that look a little bit more thick in coverage than other areas. So we want to make sure everything is smooth, even, and thin, and apply as needed. Then I'm going to go in with a pressed foundation powder by Maybelline. She is in the shade 355, and this is also to tone down the highlight if it's a little bit too much. But I also find that using the two will give you a more natural finish. In the same technique, we're going to go in with light tapping motions using a thin layer. Next, we're going to go in with the Black Radiance Beauty True Complexion Contour Palette, Dark to Deep. And we're going to go into the Sculptor shade first, and we're going to press that over the contour on her cheekbone, forehead, and chin. And we're also going to use that sculptor shade on the nose. I'm also using an angled brush just so that we have that nice chiseled effect. And then with the light hand, we're going to actually go into the contour shade. Because that shade is so dark, you don't want to give a dramatic contour. You want to keep a light hand with that, and you want to lightly press that in. And you're also going to end up blending that out with your foundation brush as well. Then we're going to go in with that same setting powder we used earlier, and this is going to also help give that chiseled effect to your contour. We're going to put that right under that contour. Only under the cheekbones. And then that same pressed foundation powder that you saw me use, we're going to go over that setting powder that we're putting underneath the contour. This next step is very important. Make sure that your blush matches your actual complexion. We don't want anything to look unnatural on your face. So for my darker skin girls specifically, what we're going to do is I'm going to go in with Juvia's Place blush palette, and I'm going to go in with a very, very deep red and an orange shade. This will help bring back that flesh tone, that blood flow that you normally see in your skin. And we're going to put that right on the contour and slightly in your highlighted section under your eye. Next, I'm gonna go in with a black Maybelline gel liner, and this is just to give some more pop to her look. And for my girls whose eyes tend to get watery, a tip: make sure you pull your waterline down and apply. And if you feel like your eyes are starting to water up, first fan or take a Q-tip to the corner of your eye and try to get the water out. If it starts to fall, be sure to blot your makeup with a blotting tissue. That way you're not smearing your makeup. Now I'm going to take my spoolie and the same mascara that I used in the beginning, and I'm just going to go ahead and put some mascara on her bottom lashes just for dramatic effect. Now to go back to her contour, just to give that even more snatched effect, I'm going to go on with the highlighter, and I'm going to put that on the tip of her nose and on the bridge of her nose. And I'm going to lightly blend it out with my finger just so it's not overbearingly present. And then I'm going to go on with the Morphe Continuous Setting Spray, and we're going to set that makeup. You're probably going to see me set her face at least 3 to 4 times just to make sure that makeup does not budge. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wipe off the chapstick that I use, and we're going to go ahead and move on to the lips. Now in her case, because I didn't have a deep enough liner for her skin tone, a hack is to go into your eyeshadow palette or use your contour shade, and you can line your lips with that. Plus it'll also last longer if you do use your eyeshadow palette too. But I'm going to go in with a very, very deep brown, and I'm just going to line her lips. After I finished lining her lips, I went in with Milani Cosmetics liquid lippy cream, and it's in the shade Lavish, and I'm just gonna place that on her lip in the middle of it, and then I'm gonna have her blot. Please do not wipe your lips because that will create a grainy and swiped effect on your lips, and we don't want that. We want a very pigmented lip. And then I'm gonna go in with a lip liner in a shade Brown. I'm gonna take a nice flathead brush, a small flathead brush, and I'm just gonna blend that out. Then another tip, as I go in with some lip gloss, and you can get lip gloss from the beauty supply store, Walmart, wherever you see fit, go over the liner. Don't take it all the way in on the lips. This will also help your glossy lip last way longer. And then of course, we have the finished look, guys, and that is it for the Cut Crease virtual tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I cannot wait to see you guys slay these cut crease looks. Bye-bye.